Hi, everybody. Thank you, Thomas. Hi, everybody, and I'm so glad to be here today. So just in 2 words, my name is Julien Sportisse. I'm a partner at Caras Strategy, a consulting firm specialized in sales and marketing in life sciences. So usually when I say I'm a consultant, it's a woo. And when I say, oh, I'm working only for big pharma, it's a big woo. So it's but here I'm pretty proud to be, especially in Basel, for various reasons that you may know, to talk about business models in healthcare. And just before starting and talk about business, let's talk perhaps first very quickly about health. Health is an amazing topic, and I'm sure that most of us were already convinced about that when entering in this room. But for those who were not, after 2 days, it's much, much clearer, starting from birth, dealing with life, with death, with joy, with fear, with super complex things, super advanced innovation that James mentioned, and very common sense, with science and art and wisdom. So it's a mix of black and white things that becomes an amazing explosive cocktail of people, collective structures, science, common sense, nature, plus money. By the way, all the pictures that you will see during this presentation were made in 1941. 1941. So all of what? Well, what's that? What is the what? It's something as a continuum, probably from birth to death. Health at a word, you know, anytime, anywhere, any device. We want health a bit like sugar in the coffee everywhere, because that's what we are talking about in the past few sessions. And it's something that is more and more expensive, for sure. We are spending in our countries, you know, civilized, developed countries, 20% of our GDP on health-related issues. It means that everybody in this room, and hopefully outside, is working 1 day a week only for that stuff, only for the what. So it's more and more expensive because of the chronic conditions, because of the aging of population. It's more and more complex. I mean, James and all the other presenters at Lift did demonstrate that we were dealing with super advanced technologies. It was very optimistic, but it requires engineers, it requires designers, it requires a lot of science and knowledge and experience to get there. And we expect everybody, but the science gives us this opportunity, that it will be more and more personalized. Personalized in terms of the treatment choice, genomics, but personalized also in terms of the treatment execution. A given patient will not expect the same therapeutic approach, the same way to be managed compared to another. So the what is this stuff, dealing with black and white and a lot of gray, therefore my choice of the photographs, and more and more expensive, more and more complex, and more personalized. But I'd like to point out 2 issues that for me are the ones that make the business model question really critical. There are 2 big issues. One is the coordination of care and the overall system efficiency, which is by far not optimal. That's question number 1 that the business models have to deal with. And the second issue is on the patient side. That's the treatment compliance. That's the appropriate drug use. As Thomas said, because of so I'm paid by pharmaceutical companies or biotech companies asking me to solve their problems regarding the way to launch products, to relaunch products, to stop the decline of market share, to evaluate the opportunity of partnerships, of new services. And what we keep in mind when interviewing dozens and dozens of pharmacists, of physicians, of patients as well, through the use of market research, pretty advanced market research. I've been recently using, for instance, web community of patients in order to get some direct feedback. It's amazing to see the impact on the total system of healthcare of these two issues. So if you take back the 20% of GDP spent in healthcare, if you take back the 10 hours each week, all of us are spending to finance that. How many hours are lost? How many billions of euros of francs suisse, of whatever, are lost because of this? Because of the fact that the patient will be diagnosed way too late, because the general practitioners will have kept the diabetic patient for 5, 6, 10 years on control, just because he does not think or he does not use the full network of expertise to refer this patient to a diabetologist. How many patients, you, me, our sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, grandfathers, grandmothers, yes, everybody, how many patients are really using the drugs that have been prescribed? Yesterday, a study, it's a French study, but it's very representative of the European situation. A French study was published. 24% of the drugs prescribed are never taken. 24%. 15% of the drugs prescribed are not even bought. Take severe disease, like HIV. It's known by all the healthcare professionals. It's a shame, but that's the truth of humankind in front of this kind of stuff. HIV patients, the tree therapy, the average compliance percentage is 64. So it means that 64% of the tree therapy HIV treatment are followed. And actually, it's not new at all. I mean, WHO had raised the flag at the beginning of the 80s, saying, guys, we are only compliant at 50% in most of our chronic conditions. So when you talk to marketing directors, sales managers, country managers across the world around their needs to relaunch the cash machine of the pharma industry, they think about adding more sales reps, changing the sales channels, adding YouTubes or whatever. But at the end, they are losing about 50% of sales just because the patients do not take the drug. And you know, very, very, very advanced statistics have recently been published suggesting that when a drug is not taken, usually it does not work. So actually, the question about who is going to pay all of this? But who has chosen this question? Is it you, Thomas? That's not the question. The question is who is going to be paid to serve that? Because who is going to pay all of this? It's clear. It's us. It's you and me. So should it be through tax or premium, whatever? I don't think that the key question is who is going to pay, because we know that. The key question is who is going to be paid, because we want to fix that. And then I have my clients. So it's not one of them, because all of the stuff were taken in the 40s, and I was not really active at that time. The historical business payer to make money with this kind of health problem solving is the drug maker. And usually the drug maker has been making money through what I call the magic piece. So of course it starts with the pharma company, that's the first P, and then you have a series in the value chain of policymakers to get approved the drug, then the payers, then the purchaser, you know, these hospital pharmacists, for instance, who will choose which drug they take on the formulary of their institutions, and then of course the healthcare professionals. And at the top of the iceberg, the patient. The patient, the starting point being the illness. And the pharma marketers, and I'm I mean, I know that if, by the way, how many pharma guys, between quotes, are in the room? Can you? Okay, thanks. So you know all of these. That's the patient flow. And that's the way the pharma executives are looking at the market. So you start with a given prevalence rate in a population, then you apply a percentage of presentation, because only X% of the prevalent people will go to see a physician. Then you apply a diagnosis rate. Then you apply a treatment rate, because you can be diagnosed but not treated for various reasons, good or bad. And then you apply a certain strategic choice where your drug is, and then you get the prescription, and then you get the compliance. And usually what the pharma is doing is that they are investing a lot of big money at the beginning to discover new treatment options. And then they are calling on all of these guys. So the policymaker, they ask, okay, I have this new drug, you know, and I have a lot of clinical studies on 1,000 people across the world suggesting that it could work slightly better than the average others, plus 2%, or that it works versus placebo. And then the payer will say, okay, I give you plus 2%. And then the professional, how it works. When I started in this field 15 years ago, it was all about reach and frequency to the right customers, to the right professionals. So calling on people and calling and calling and calling. Now it does not work it's not enough in terms of the business model to generate what Big Pharma is expecting when putting €2. It's expecting at least €4 in terms of the sales return. To generate the famous 3 last P's, the prescription, generating the pill times the price to get the turnover. The sales. It's not enough, and most of my clients are now in this specific situation. They have a pricing pressure and outcome-based challenge put by the payers. These payers do not want to pay a flat rate on all the pills, especially if only 50% of these pills will be taken, especially if only 20–30% will be optimally used. They want to pay based on the return, based on the real value. And that could be the way to totally change the business model that we are trying to outline here. Second aspect is the lower accessibility and the lower impact that all of these actions that we have just seen in the previous screen, all of these actions put by the pharma industry, does not work like it could have worked in the past. Physicians are less and less accessible, physicians are less and less responsive. And we have to be honest as well, is that we have discovered, or the pharma industry, helped by science, by universities, etc., have discovered a lot of things, and yes, the pipeline of innovation is pretty dry. So we are entering in this totally scary phase of market commoditization. All the products are more or less the same. So you need to find new ways to differentiate yourself versus the others, versus the generics. And yes, as well, the key, the patient engagement, it depends a lot. If you take the 50% patient who take the pill versus the 50% who will not take the pill, it's not that black and white. You may have all the patients taking in average 50-50, etc. So we have to think about this kind of complexity when thinking about the new business model. And it's all the more frustrated that we are living in a world where everything can be shared, everything can be in real life, in real time, in this massive digitalization. So I think the second question is, who is going to be paid for what? What do we want to deliver? It's not only getting the 3 last P's, the prescription times the pill times the price. So what the future business models here should address? It should be preventive, it's clear, based on all the stuff that we have been discussing in the past 2 days. It should be collaborative, because it's too complex. We cannot manage all the complexity of that only with one expert. It should be personalized. People expect that, and we have the technology to make it more efficient like that. And it should be, for sure, cost efficient. From cure to care. And we are here talking about a key aspect of the transformation of the business model of pharma. It's we are moving from fee for service. I pay you for the service. Whatever the outcome is, I will pay you, to fee for value. I will pay only if it works. And to make it work, as we have seen with the value chain, there are many steps that should be checked. So I have here for you outlined 4 scenarios. 4 scenarios of business models that I want to quickly describe. The first one is Starbucks, which relies upon the fact that we need to reconnect a way or another with the physician, with the patient. How many sales reps are sent by the pharma industry with zero impact? They are not even able to enter into the office. They stay in the waiting room for hours. How many physicians, I made a focus group with diabetologists last week. 3 of them confirm that they gave me ballpark figures. Diabetologists in the hospital, 30% of their appointments are missed. The patients do not even come to the office, 30%. Out of the 70% lucky enough to come to the office at the appointment, 20 to 30% are not prepared. They do not know anything. They don't even know which drug they take, etc. There is a quantity of hours, of energy, of resources, of euros and dollars that are lost just because we are not able to connect to people. And the Starbucks move rely upon that. Imagine that all the drugs are now given for free. Because that's the generic, that's the trend. How do you justify a slightly higher price than the competitor? You have to create something else. And Starbucks is excellent. There's a Starbucks just right here. Starbucks is excellent to do that. It starts with coffee, you know? Do you imagine something more commoditized than coffee? And then, you know, you put that in a nice box, and then you put some colors on the cup, and then you create your Starbucks coffee. When you enter in this Starbucks coffee, you have something that is far beyond the functional coffee grain. You have something which touches the intangible. You have something that you resonate with the consumer. And that's what we call the customer experience. And pharma marketers are investing time on that, and I think we can encourage to do that. The second model is, where is the future of healthcare? It's probably not here. The future of healthcare is between these guys. It's about finding the right way, the impactful way to engage the people. And that's the second idea, the booking.com. We have to find a technology experts that are able to manage this communication flow, this information flow between all the Ps, including between patients. We can share best practices, etc. So we need someone that masters the communication channel, that is able to be in touch with every customer, every day, every hour. We know how the market is moving. We can leverage scaling factors to make it cost efficient. We can be trusted. Do you know who is this guy? Is it Pfizer, Novartis, Roche, Sanofi? Or is it Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft? So we could imagine that a big tech takes the relationships of all the customers in healthcare and then ask the pharma industry, you know, do your drug, your pill for free or almost for free, and then we manage the real stuff, the engagement, the customer engagement, the P2P relationships. The third model is the alliances between big pharma and big others. There are many ways to do this kind of stuff. And actually, there are many things that are already real for now. Novartis has an alliance with, do you know? Google, the contact lenses. It's already the case. Eli Lilly with Walt Disney to do books for children and in diabetes, to engage with the kids in a more impactful way. Sanofi and Coca-Cola, I don't know where they are with that, but in 2012 they said, we will do a drink for beauty. Galderma was bought in February by Nestlé. So I'm predicting here that by 2024, a big pharma and a big tech M&A, merger and acquisition, will take place. I don't know who, but by for sure, I do that. Or the last scenario, that's the barbarian. Because there are many guys, and we have met some of these barbarians here, so be careful, that are disrupting the business as usual, that are disrupting the medicine as usual. And these guys, one day, could totally disrupt the way the insurers are thinking, could totally disrupt the way research and development are thinking, with patient-driven research, for instance. New way to consume, to produce, new ways to deliver care. So what does it mean? Is that where does this barbarian will come from? We do not know, but it could come from bank and insurer, from game. Nintendo, for instance, has invested on a quality of life platform to totally change. It's by far way above the gamification and the quantified self. It could become the food industry. There are many risks. Bayer has tested something pretty good to avoid this Minolta syndrome. Do you remember Minolta? These guys were the top guys in terms of photographs. But now, do you know what they are doing? They are doing super advanced lenses for planetariums. That's their business. And we could imagine that Pfizer, in 20 years, will be the Minolta of the pills. Google will manage all the relationships, Google or someone else, all the relationships, all the stuff that are really impacting, all the stuff that are increasing the compliance, and Pfizer will do the pill, super advanced, super specialized, somewhere in India. So, as a conclusion, I really feel that it's up to us to move. Because the barbarian, it could be you, it could be me, if we accept as a patient not to be just a consumer, but to be a prosumer, to help co-produce health solutions, to take the leadership, the ownership on the fact that, yes, we take only one pill out of 2, so we could take a bit more, a bit better. But all of these business models should address the fact that we have to go beyond the product. We have to go beyond the boxes. We need designers to make the apps, as we said this morning, the apps more engaging, more impactful. We need to go beyond the bill. We need to go beyond the all-size-fits-all, it's clear, beyond the physician's office, and beyond the prescription, and we need to go beyond 140 characters. Because I think that if we do not manage to transform these outstanding innovation brought by digital into something that makes an impact on our real life, then I think it will be a loss of, a big frustration and a loss of hope. Last page, future of healthcare, we need all the P's aligned to the same goal. And we are one of the P, if not more than one, for some in the rooms. So I really believe in this model. Imagine you have 1,000 friends on Facebook that are using the same apps, that are using the same dedication to take the drug when a doctor prescribes the drug. Then why don't you create your own company with your 1,000 friends, saying, you know what, we will self-insure ourselves. We'll take care of ourselves. Instead of putting 20% of all our revenues to somewhere in the middle where most of the patients don't play the game, we will put 15 or 10% of our revenues to manage ourselves. And we'll be dedicated to do all the good stuff that we have been talking about so far. That's my vision for the business model. I'm not sure who will take the pilot seat to do that. It could be Pfizer, Novartis, Roche. It could be Google, Pfizer. It could be someone else, Walt Disney, why not? But first, are we all ready to do that as a patient? Thank you so much for your attention. Feel free to continue the discussion via email or LinkedIn, etc. Bye-bye.